right here. Oh, as you can see, it's tails.
We go, bro.
Then we choose second.
Can you repeat? Protein goes first or second?
First.
Second.
Protein goes first and con goes second.
Oh, yeah.
Ok. Buenas tardes a todos. Voy a poner en el chat de esta reunión el link de YouTube por si alguien lo quiere compartir con algún familiar. Ok. Ya está compartido en el chat. Les recomiendo que por favor estén cada uno enfocado más que en lo que está ocurriendo en YouTube, estén enfocados en el debate en sí mismo, ¿ok? Recuerden estar en mute mientras usted no está hablando. A los jueces, recuerden que no deliberan entre ustedes, sino que cada quien somete a Taproom su decisión de manera independiente y al final, vamos a ver. Laura, tú puedes ser la cabeza del conjunto de jueces. Entonces, al final, cuando ya todos lo hayan sometido, Laura dice cuál es el equipo ganador y cada uno de los jueces da un feedback muy corto de la razón por la cual tomó esa decisión, ¿ok? Después de que se diga quién ganó y quién perdió. Eso con un propósito educativo para que también queden en los videos de YouTube. ¿Todos están listos? Ok, entonces yo me voy a mutear y comienza entonces, Laura, tú diriges entonces el transcurso del debate. Que tengan suerte, equipo.
Thanks.
So before we start, welcome to the Novice Finals. Congratulations for getting this far. So now that we've done the coin flip and everything, all that's left to do is good luck. Whenever you're ready and all judges are ready, we may start. So it's a bit low.
Okay.
Okay, now it's good. Yeah.
Opposing team ready? Judges ready?
I'm sorry, quick question. After we flip the coin, which one choose the first speaker? I'm sorry, just to put it on the tab room.
Pro is first speaker.
First speaker. Pro.
Okay, so Fu is pro first speakers and American School is con second speakers.
Perfect.
Thank you. No problem.
And judges ready? My time starts now. We affirm the resolution resolved on balance. The benefits of urbanization in West Africa outweigh the harms. Our framework is that to win this round, the opposing team must prove that urbanization will hurt West Africa in the long term. This is the best framework, since when evaluating policy decisions like whether we should take action on climate change or not, long-term benefits vastly outweigh short-term costs. The definition of urbanization is the process of making an area more urban. This includes not only the physical movement of people from rural areas to cities, but the improvement and construction of new infrastructure to sustain it. The process of urbanization is a long one, with some roadblocks and important challenges along the way. However, no country has ever successfully developed without going through urbanization. So the opportunities that it presents, both present and future, are vital to West Africa. Our first contention is vast economic growth. Moving to cities creates a uniquely favorable environment for the people in them, creating massive amounts of economic opportunity. This comes from a combination of higher wage jobs and lowering costs of manufacturing because of increased efficiency. West Africa is undergoing a massive economic restructuring, which will lift an entire region out of poverty. Burden and Artiligos 16 find that cities are engines of economic growth. They are responsible for producing 80% of the world's GDP and can help pull people out of poverty. Thanks to the greater access to healthcare infrastructure, sanitation facilities, clean water, and higher literacy rates, cities have lower infant mortality rates. They are places of opportunity where innovations are sparked and scaled. Our second warrant is that urbanization brings more modern industries to countries. Chen 14, professor of the Key Lab of Regional Sustainable Development Modeling, points out in a study that numerous studies have previously found that the level of urbanization is closely correlated with the level of GDP per capita. It is generally accepted that economic growth promotes the expansion of modern industries and an increase in the urban population. In turn, urbanization also promotes economic growth. Chen continues saying, if the transformation of human society since the Industrial Revolution were to be summarized in no more than 3 words, there would be few better alternatives than industrialization, urbanization, and globalization. Urbanization changes the structure of economies to be more industrialized and competitive. Tarak 14 explains how 2 concepts underpin our understanding of the advantages of economic concentration. The division of labor, which is the separation of tasks in any economic system so that workers may specialize, and economies of scale. Stark continues, arguing cities afford companies access to a wider range of shared services and infrastructure because of scale of activity. Cities offer better external connectivity to customers and suppliers through more frequent transport links to more destinations and more efficient logistics systems to handle imports and exports. Division of labor explains the gains for productivity and therefore growth from specialization, while economies of scale increase efficiency and make production costs go down. Our second intention is quality of life. Quality of life indicators have improved the urbanization of West Africa. The Somnio 7 explains that child mortality declined from an average of 202 per thousand in 1960 to 96 per thousand in 2000. Over the same time frame, the life expectancy has increased from 37 to 50. The increase year over year in the labor force has gone from 2.1% to 4.9%, and the GDP of the region has gone from $111 million to $4.9 billion. Population density has tripled. Primary school enrollment rate has gone from 22% to 68%, and the urban population rate has gone from 9% to 37% on the average. Generally, important indicators improved over time, particularly factors of population, which healthcare delivery influence. Death rate reduced as well as infant mortality rate, while urbanization, school enrollment, labor force, and GDP have all increased substantially since 1960. The impact is clear. Urbanization has shown quality of life improvement in all indices. The AFBD computes the Africa Infrastructure Development Index, or AIDI, every year, a measure of development in African countries. Lufumpa 18 finds that in general, AIDI score improved for virtually all countries between 2016 and 2018. The global index imputed for the entire continent has risen from 27.12 to 28.44, and current trends also point toward an even brighter future, with Stanford 16 finding that over the past 15 years, most countries in Africa experience sustained economic growth, with growth rates often exceeding 5% per year. Countries with high GDP per capita tend to report higher life expectancy. The reverse is also true with poverty associated with lower life expectancy. Voting negates all of this progress, both present and future, and that is why you must vote aye.
Thank you. Is the con team ready?
Yes. So let me set my timer. Okay, so is everyone ready? Judges, opponents?
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay, partner, perfect. Yeah. So my time starts now. We negate the resolution on balance. The benefits of urbanization in West Africa outweigh the harms. Our afraid mistake that to win this debate, our opponents must prove urbanizing West Africa will not affect citizens' health. Contention 1, food insecurity in slums. According to the World Health Organization, globally, nearly 1 billion people live in slums. This number is projected to double to 2 billion in the next 30 years in sub-Saharan Africa. 71.8% of urban dwellers live in slums, the highest proportion in the world. Living in slums puts enormous social, economic, and financial burdens on households, and it can lead to intergenerational poverty. Many argue that slum dwellers are caught in a poverty trap, that living in slums makes it harder for households to escape poverty. Several slum-related factors contribute to the perpetuation of poverty, including poor health outcomes and the inability to access finance or leverage property access, and the lack of access to basic services. Another major problem of living in slums is food insecurity. Food insecurity is defined as, according to the Cambridge Dictionary, as the fact that a person or family is not always able to get enough food, and the fact that a place may not be able to produce or obtain enough food to feed its population. Rapid urban growth and a decreasing number of megacities imply that more food will have to be available to people who live in an environment that has traditionally been perceived as inappropriate for agriculture. Almost all urban dwellers are net buyers of food, which is also the case for small-scale farmers. Land-poor households are often the poorest of the poor because they do not produce enough to feed their families and are unable to sustain their livelihoods. According to a recent study, the impact of coronavirus pandemic could increase the number of people at risk of food insecurity and malnutrition from 17 million to 50 million between June and August 2020. A recent research done by Nebraska showed that in Nigeria, the most urbanized country in West Africa, food insecurity was found to be prevalent among slum residents, with about 81% being food insecure. According to Yale University, African, Asian, and Latin American slum dwellers are more likely to die earlier, experience more hunger and disease, and attain less education and have fewer chances of employment. Also, the World Bank stated, and I quote, urbanization can lead to increased inequality, urban poverty, and the proliferation of slums, contribution to air pollution, and explosive population growth. Urbanization and a growing economy have put the environment in West Africa under a lot of stress. The World Health Organization, who estimates that each year around 7 million people die from the effects of polluted air. According to Carlos Dora, air pollution is becoming one of the largest threats of rapidly urbanizing environment. The annual number of deaths from outdoor and ambient air pollution rose sharply by 36% from 1990 to 2013, from what was a low base according to OECD. Indoor air pollution rose by 18%, but from the same period, already a relatively high base of 400,000 deaths in 1990. That is 472,000 deaths in 2013 due to air pollution, almost 500,000 deaths due to air pollution in Africa. Dirty air has led to premature deaths of 712,000 Africans each year, more than the toll of unsafe water, malnutrition, and unsafe sanitation. In September of last year, researchers calculated that the monetary cost of air pollution in Africa, for the first time, it was calculated to be 115 billion from outdoor air pollution and 232 billion from indoor air pollution. World Bank estimates that the health cost of air pollution is $2.1 billion in Lagos in 2018. This corresponds to about 2.1% of Lagos state GDP. In West African cities, the concentrations of small particles are often higher than recommended limits. The particles have an origin in human activities, charcoal fires, waste combustion, cities, and savanna fires, which emits fine particles into the air. This is telling us that urbanization is increasing air pollution, and urbanization in West Africa will jeopardize the environment and health of the citizens in West Africa. Judges, is urbanization really worth the health, the environment, the safety, the households, and the money and the food of millions of immigrating West Africans? These are basic needs, and urbanization will be stripping them away. For the foregoing reasons, we urge you a con ballot. Thank you.
Are we ready for crossfire?
Yeah.
Okay. Whenever you're ready, you may start.
Okay.
Oh, you're the first speaker. Yeah. So you can have the first question.
Yeah. Okay. If urbanization in West Africa increases disease spread, why is COVID-19 spread extremely low in Africa compared to the rest of the world?
Excuse me?
If urbanization in West Africa increases the spread of disease, why is the spread of COVID-19 extremely low in Africa compared to other countries?
Well, because Africa is not completely urbanized yet.
But no place is completely urbanized yet.
Africa, this is the point of the whole debate. Africa is currently urbanizing at a rapid rate. So if
urbanization is the status quo. There are 11 cities.
Africa is not completely urbanized yet.
No, it's not completely urbanized, but there are
countries are way more urbanized than Africa. That's why Africa.
There are substantial city centers in Africa, and those still haven't had important COVID.
There is not as much urbanization as other countries.
Okay.
Okay, so can I have a question now?
Yeah.
So you talked about economic growth, right? And how people are going to have a better life quality. But you failed to mention that West Africa is not providing the amount of jobs necessary for all of these people. So what are you going to do about the joblessness in Africa? What's going to happen to that?
Urbanization increases access to jobs.
Really? Do you have a number about like how is the West Africa jobs going to increase?
Well, there are a few mechanisms. For example, cities provide non-agricultural jobs to the rural poor if they move to them. We have evidence by Granham 10 says that a high proportion of households have rural and urban components to their incomes and livelihoods. Just because you live in a rural town doesn't mean that you don't get any money from urban places, because we have remittances. We have people moving to urban cities and then sending money back to rural places. So they're better understood. Those households are better understood as multi-local, as individual members engage in different activities in different locations while sharing resources and assets. Incomes from non-agricultural. Sorry?
I don't understand how that is answering my question.
Okay, what I'm saying is when people move into cities, if they have family back in rural places, they send money back, they send remittances back to rural places, which helps both on the urban scale because there's somebody who—
You're not answering my question, you're just argumenting.
What is—
what I asked was, what are you going to do about the joblessness?
Cities create jobs.
I'm sorry, but that's time. Pro team, do you need any prep time?
Yeah, wait. Yeah, I'll have a minute.
Okay, running now.
Okay, mira.
That was a minute of prep time. Do you need more?
30 seconds, please.
Okay, 30 seconds running now. Those were 30 seconds more.
So before starting my time, I'm gonna give a roadmap. First, I'm gonna answer to Khan's most important points, and then I'm gonna support our case. So my time begins now. So the Khan team talked about in their first contention, talked about poverty and people living in slums in urban poverty. But actually, poverty is always devastating, and we know that. But rural poverty is particularly destructive. Because of a lack of urban resources, the rural poor are far more likely to suffer death and other extreme effects from poverty. In fact, the IMF points out that rural poverty accounts for nearly 63% of poverty worldwide, and between 65 and 90% of poverty in sub-Saharan Africa. In almost all countries, the conditions in terms of personal consumption, access to education, healthcare, potable water and sanitation, housing, transport, and communications faced by the rural poor are far worse than those faced by the urban poor. Even for people in slums, urbanization has benefited them. Flower benefits from our case regarding life expectancy, increasing schooling and African economies growing more than 50 times over 1960. They also talked about food security. But actually, urban agriculture increases food production while decreasing environmental issues. This means that urban agricultural plots can be used to increase green cover and enrich biodiversity in urban areas while improving food security and overall socioeconomic condition of urban residents. Also, they talked about the environment and how this could be affected. But in fact, there are a number of reasons urbanization can be good for the environment if managed properly. Urbanization drives innovation, including green technologies. Like we said on our framework, we're going to base our round on long-term benefits. In the long term, environment friendly equipment, machines, vehicles, and utilities will determine the future of the green economy. For any given population, the high urban density is winning for the environment. The urban economics literature shows that compactness is a key determinant of energy use. High density can make public transport more viable and reduce the length of trips. Urban living encourages walking and cycling rather than driving or the use of public transportation, which obviously lowers the emission of CO2 to the atmosphere. Now, going through supporting our case, they asked in Crossfire how the economy is growing under urbanization. But actually, because urbanization increases population and therefore demand in various sectors within cities, it leads to more job opportunities for citizens. Job creation is crucial to the outcome of Africa's future. Urbanization creates demand for more jobs. Not only does urbanization create jobs, but it creates better jobs because rural areas commonly are agricultural. Urbanization and industrial growth create opportunities for jobs that pay more, are more diverse, and may be less physically demanding. Social factors include better living standards, including superior educational facilities, better access to healthcare, modern housing, etc. How in late 19 find that industrialization and urbanization are closely related to economic development. The process of industrialization and urbanization affects income distribution, causing income inequality. In the short term, urbanization can increase income inequality because wages are higher for urban jobs than rural work. However, in the long term, when urbanization is highly developed, the difference in income distribution in the two regions may decrease and income inequality will decrease. Also, it's important to know that urbanization has decreased the infectious diseases spread. These estimates account for urbanization so that the total population at malaria risk, for example, has decreased by 2.2% and mortality by 6.7% compared with previous estimates. This is why we proudly affirm.
Con team, do you need any prep time?
Yes, I'll take 1 minute of prep time, please.
1 minute running now.
I'm writing. Wait, I think a judge left. Yeah, the judge who was taking like my prep time, she left the meeting. So is everyone ready?
Yeah.
Right. So before I start with my rebuttal, I would like to do an off-time roadmap. First, I'm going to tackle my opponent's arguments, then I'm going to respond to my opponent's framework, and if I have time, I'll restate my strongest impacts. So my time starts now. Judge, let me start by saying that our opponents are talking about economic opportunities. They would reduce poverty. However, how would they reduce poverty and how much will they reduce it? We have proof that this won't happen and that the economy will not increase because of slums. They say that poverty will always happen in rural areas and that it's way worse. But judges, I still don't see how much would the poor rate will be reduced if urbanization happens. They never mention numbers, which makes this unvalid and it has not weight at all. They also talk about the quality of life, but judges, this won't be able to happen because of our first contention that states that 71% of the citizens in West Africa live in slums. This is not life quality. According to the University, African, Asian, and Latin American slums are more likely to die earlier, experience more hunger and disease, attain less education, and have fewer chances of employment. Now, also the World Bank stated, and I quote, urbanization can lead to the increasement of inequality, urban poverty, and the proliferation of slums. The life the pro team is talking about is the dream of urbanization, but how would they achieve all of this? With which money would they be able to afford this? Their frame also judge that technologies they say that will reduce air pollution. It's really expensive and the government is really corrupt. In actuality, the corruption in West Africa is 31.7 and they lose $50 billion a year due to corruption. So they won't be able to make this possible. Also, in urban areas, unemployment rates are higher and about 60% to IOP science. So as you can see, the unemployment rates in it's really high. Also, judge, the opponents are talking about urbanization in general, and they're only giving a few examples of countries in West Africa and a few numbers. Well, all of our evidence is based from West African countries, and we have a lot of numbers through our whole debate. Also, judge, let me add that our opponents do not answer my partner's questions about the joblessness, which I just gave you the number that is 60% in urban areas, which is proving our point once again that there won't be more jobs created due to urbanization in urban areas. Also, I would like to say that their framework is the benefits of urbanization on the long run. But judge, we need to focus on the impacts it has of urbanization right now on West Africa, because the long run effect won't matter if the citizens are dead because they don't have correct household environment nor the adequate food security. As we also mentioned, food insecurity has huge risks on the lives of the citizens. Also, we have evidence by Global Citizen that shows that in Nigeria, only 3.8 doctors are available for 10,000 people, or 0.338 doctors per 1,000 people. This is telling us that the citizens won't have access to the healthcare they need, and that Nigeria, being the most urbanized country, has horrible health care access. The benefits the pro team is talking about won't be possible due to corruption, and as we just mentioned, the healthcare access that they receive in urban areas is not good at all. Now I'll restate some of my strongest impacts. My first impact is the slums and the 71.8% of the citizens that live in slums in sub-Saharan Africa. This means this seems like a small issue. However, living in slums is a factor of poverty in urban areas. This is showing that urbanization is not the dream everyone thinks it is. It is actually jeopardizing the households and the life quality of many citizens. Our second impact is food insecurity. People in urban areas will not be guaranteed food. A recent research showed that 81% of the citizens in Nigeria, the most developed city in West Africa, as you know, suffer from food insecurity. Is it really necessary to increase food insecurity due to urbanization and therefore increase the number of the 50 million of people that suffer from food insecurity? No, because the harms of urbanization do outweigh the benefits. And finally, our third contention is air pollution. Because of all of these reasons,
that is time.
we urge account ballot. Thank you.
So I'll ask the first question. If everyone is ready. Are you ready? Okay.
Yes.
So if urbanization does not provide economic growth, by what mechanism have African economies increased by almost 50 times in the last 60 years?
What we're saying is that living in slums, as we mentioned, creates poverty among the societies that live there.
Yeah,
and
but
as we also mentioned, 71.8% of the citizens
you're
live
not
in
answering
slums.
my question.
Is that I don't understand how your question is related to my
If
argument.
urbanization does not provide economic growth, as you said in your case, by what mechanism have African economies increased by over 50 times in the last 60 years? What caused the growth?
What?
Caused the growth, the vast economic growth?
Okay, but it's affecting the life of the citizens.
Yeah, it
because
is.
they're not receiving the
Okay.
health access they are.
Can I rephrase my question? If urban livings are so bad and so poor, as you said, why do people move so intensely to cities instead of staying
That's the
where they
thing.
are?
Okay, but that's the thing. You're talking about urbanization in general. I'm talking about the
I'm
harms that
talking about
urbanization
West
has.
African urbanization, and this rate is from West Africa
Okay.
specific.
Right, but you're saying that if people like to live in urban areas, they're moving there. You're talking about urbanization in general, and I'm telling you the harms that it has on people.
But
Okay.
if it has any,
it's my turn to ask a question.
I'm
sorry. It's my turn. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it's my turn to ask a question. I would like to know, you said that there would be technology in the long run to stop air pollution, but could you tell me how would you be able to afford that?
Well, there's China, for example.
Okay, but China has a debt trap diplomacy.
What? But that doesn't matter
China.
because Chinese help has actually brought help to African countries. And that is why economies have grown over 50 times in the last 60 years. Because you can grow alone.
In debt. 150 countries are in debt with China. So are you saying that like West Africa should be urbanized and create these technologies, which I do you have evidence that it says that they will be creating technologies that will stop air pollution?
Okay, every country has debt. But if we have economic growth with this debt and people are living better, even healthcare facilities are improving, public health in general. Public health in general.
We're saying that there's 0.38 doctors per 1,000 people in Nigeria. So I don't see how that is improving.
We have shown you evidence that even malaria, there is an infectious disease, has increased their decrease their
for crossfire.
Yes, but there are also other diseases.
Can I finish my point?
You may finish a sentence.
Okay, so it has decreased from 2.2% to 4.9%.
Okay, thank you. Pro team, do you need any prep time? Excuse me.
Sorry, how much? Yeah, sorry. How much time do I have?
You have 1 minute and 30 seconds left of your prep.
Yeah, we're fine.
Excuse me, Juan, if you're talking, I can hear you.
Can't you hear me?
Okay, better.
Okay.
Now better.
Judges ready? Before I start my summary, I'm just going to explain what I'm going to say in my summary. I'm going to first talk about our framework, then address all the clashing points of this debate, then give the judge some key voters and do some weighing.
Audio.
Sorry? First of
Better.
all, okay. I'm not sure what I'm, can I do? Okay. Can I restart my time? Okay.
Yeah.
My time starts now. First of all, on framework, their framework is that urbanization is good for health, and we agree with it. We think that to win this debate, we need to prove that urbanization is good for health, and we agree with it. We think urbanization is great for the health of African cities. Our first clashing point is the effect of urbanization on health. They say that urbanization and living in cities lowers quality of life, but urbanization has broadly improved health. Borowski 16 finds that infant mortality in the African region has declined by 40%, while the dissemination of antiretroviral therapy reduced HIV-related mortality in the region by 48% between 2000 and 2014. Malaria control efforts decreased malaria-related mortality by over 50%. Thus, the reason mortality has increased steady population growth and spurred rural to urban migration. They say quality of life has decreased in cities, but we have shown strong evidence that urbanization increases quality of life in several metrics. Remember, life expectancy has gone from 37 to 50 in the region just since 1960. Floor evidence from the case about the growth in GDP, the growth in school, on the benefits of division of labor and economies of scale. Cities also provide non-agricultural jobs to the rural poor. According to McGranahan 10, a high proportion of households have rural and urban components to their incomes and livelihoods. So they're better understood as multi-local, as individual members engage in different activities in different locations while sharing resources and assets. Incomes from non-agricultural activities and remittances have proved important for reducing rural poverty in many places. Earnings from non-farm family activities are estimated to account for 30 to 50% of rural household income in Africa. In many cases, local traders also contribute to the creation of non-farm jobs through the local processing of agricultural produce, and this helps diversify the economic base of large villages and helps in the gradual transformation into small urban centers. The second clashing point is poverty and disease. They say that people in African cities live in slums and poor living conditions, and we agree. Poverty is always devastating, but rural poverty is particularly destructive. Because of a lack of urban resources, the rural poor are far more likely to suffer death and other extreme effects from poverty. The IMF points out that rural poverty accounts for nearly 63% of poverty worldwide, between 65 and 90% in sub-Saharan Africa. In almost all countries, the conditions in terms of personal consumption, access to education, healthcare, potable water and sanitation, housing, transport, and communications faced by the rural poor are far worse than those faced by the urban poor. We outweigh on magnitude because, as we said in our case in rebuttal, urbanization causes benefits not only to the people who live in these cities, but also to the people who are benefited by the remittances that come from these cities. Urbanization also decreases malaria rates and mortality, as my partner said in rebuttal. Urbanization has increased the third is food security. Urbanization has increased food production by increasing investment in agriculture. Maybeck 18 finds that increased urbanization and the need to feed megacities and provide opportunities for diversification products make it mandatory to take the importance of processing and marketing into account. In this regard, the mobilization of stakeholders in the private sector is particularly encouraging. Companies are investing more money into agriculture because of cities, because it's financially solvent. Thank you. Please vote out.
Do you need some prep time?
So how much prep time do we have left?
We have 2 minutes of prep time left.
Okay, so I think I'm gonna take how much time again do I have prep time?
2 minutes of prep.
Oh, okay, so I'm gonna take like 30 seconds.
Well, I mean, you have 2 minutes left of prep time.
Yeah, so
Okay,
I'm gonna take
30
30
Okay,
seconds.
running now. Those are 30 seconds of prep. Do you wish to take more prep time?
No. I have a question. If I have to go to the bathroom, will that account for my prep time?
I mean, I don't know what to tell you really. Like, I guess you could run your prep time, but you only have 1 minute, 30 seconds left.
I know. So, okay, I'll just not run it.
Oh,
So
I don't know what to tell you, sorry.
Okay.
I mean, you can go during final focus.
Okay. So before I begin, I would like to do a little bit of an off-time roadmap. So I'm going to begin by just by like taking all the points in the debate and addressing the things that I have to address and extending on some of the points my partner made in rebuttal. And afterwards, I'm just going to do a really quick weighing of the arguments. So my 3 minutes start now. So, okay. I will start with the fact that my partner mentioned in rebuttal that was not extended or touched by our opponents in summary. The 60% unemployment in cities. This is important. This unemployment trap is happening specifically in West Africa. How do we have progress if 60% of the people are unemployed? Okay, I'm going to continue, but this takes away other points in urban development because there's no one being benefited from this. Only the 40% of the lucky few who get jobs. Those are the people who are supposedly moving the economy, and this is also stripping the 60% of people away from all of their basic needs and services. Okay, so I also wanted to add the fact that agriculture adds up to 23% of African GDP. This is of West African GDP. This is an important number because it means that agriculture contributes to a very important part of Africa's economical development. This will make people's livelihoods even worse. Okay, now I'm going to add to that the fact that 71% of citizens in West Africa live in slums where the quality of life is terrible, and add to that the 60% I mentioned that are unemployed. We also have skyrocketing 81% of people who don't have access to food. Now onto health. According to Global Citizen, Nigeria has 3.8 doctors for every 10,000 people, or 0.38 doctors for 1,000 people. This is telling us citizens need access to health. They don't have, but they need. Being Nigeria the most urbanized region in West Africa, these are important facts. Okay, now onto our contentions, which many of them they have not even touched. Let me begin with my air pollution contention, which they tried to address but couldn't. We still have our impacts about the 780,000 people who are being affected by this, and they have not addressed the money that is needed to fund this, and they haven't addressed the funding of any of these solutions either. They tried to say China, but China has the death trap diplomacy that strips countries away from a lot of their money. So for the foregoing reasons, we urge you a con ballot. Thank you.
Is everyone ready? Okay, go.
Yes.
No, yeah, I was going to ask the same.
You guys can get the question.
Yeah.
So, or do you concede? Cross time is running out.
I'm sorry.
Cross time.
Could you start asking?
Okay. Does the Sahara Desert have an impact on air quality in West Africa?
But
We're not
according
talking
to
about.
Carlos Dora, the major
Okay.
reason for air pollution is urbanization.
Does the Sahara Desert have an effect on air pollution?
I have no idea.
It does. Doesn't
Do you have?
Doesn't that mean that at least an important part of air pollution in West Africa is due to the Sahara Desert and due to
Do you
natural
have evidence for that?
factors? Wait, let me
We're
finish.
saying that urbanization is the main cause, but if it were to be part of the reason for air pollution, do you have a number for the amount of air pollution it contributes?
Well, most air pollution in Africa is most air pollution in West Africa. I remember your evidence says 232 billion is outdoor air pollution, right? So you can.
But the same amount. But the amount is the same for
Indoor
You can-
air pollution.
You can assess
just-
that comes from particulate matter from the Sahara Desert.
No,
We have evidence that says that.
Can you please
Yeah,
show
do you
me
have a
evidence for
number
that in prep? Yeah, because I'm not.
that says that it comes from Saharan Desert?
What specific evidence do you want?
You're saying that the air pollution is caused by the Saharan Desert and the Saharan, like all of that thing in West Africa. I want to see
because I'm
evidence
not
for
buying
that.
it. Okay.
I'm asking you.
Then what are you
That's
saying?
a fallacy.
What fallacy?
It's
Your evidence specifically said.
So here's my reasoning. My reasoning is that if the Sahara Desert is an important contributor into air pollution,
okay, but you're
That's
making
not
a
unique
reasoning
because
without
it will
valid
continue-
evidence. Okay, I want that evidence.
You're making an argument out of your thoughts. That's not
Out of your-
valid. We have evidence of a specialist that works at the WHO. Are you saying that your thoughts are more important than his?
Do you have evidence? Does your evidence say that urbanization is
Yes.
for that
Yes.
400? I would like to see it.
Yes.
Okay, I will show
Right,
you
we'll
that.
show you in prop time.
But I would also like to see the one about.
If your evidence, I don't have that evidence. But if your
okay, so
evidence,
you don't have that. Okay, I'm gonna show you the evidence in prep time.
if your evidence
Now, can we
does not
continue with another
specifically say
question?
that
Wait,
Yes,
where
it says
Okay,
specifically.
okay.
I'll show you
it
in prep.
says.
okay.
Now, we'll want to ask a question, Amalia.
So you keep talking
Sorry, but
about.
that is time.
Oh, okay.
It is.
So
You said you don't have the evidence for the Saharan
yeah.
air pollution cost, right?
Excuse me. So how it works is that pro is going to do their speech and you can ask for evidence before your speech. So
Okay.
Okay.
if they're going to take the prep time, they'll take it and then you can ask for the evidence.
Just to clarify, I do not have specific evidence that says that that the Sahara Desert is responsible for a specific amount of economic damages in West Africa. But I'm asking you for similar evidence that says that urbanization is the specific cause.
So they can see that now, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I would like to see that evidence.
So let me look for it.
Are we supposed to share screen or like pass the link?
I think it's better if we share screen. Because that-
However you like, if the judges want the link or sharing screen, it's okay.
I say we should share screen because it takes away from the prep time, and that's like the rules. So
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna share my screen now. So I don't think I can like highlight it because I have to like pay something, but you can still see the evidence.
Okay, you just like guide us through
Okay.
where the evidence is specifically.
So wait, can you see that? So right there, even as one becomes the largest threat to
don't see how that provides a figure for how urbanization affects.
This is the same place we have the evidence of the percentages. But you can't see it now because I have to like start a free trial.
Try to copy. So Judge, please don't count this against our prep time because we don't see any of the evidence right now. So what
I counted 10 seconds. That's what you took to read it. So I'm gonna stop those 10 seconds and then they can, because that's apparently the evidence that they have. So unless you want to ask for another
I think they're saying that the evidence that they're saying is lower in the document, but it's behind a paywall. So they have to find another document that says the same thing, but isn't behind a paywall.
Okay, do you need any more evidence?
I also have more evidence if you want it. You can like read it if you.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's up to you.
Okay. I would like that other evidence. If it says
sure. Let me just copy paste like the information so that you can read it right away. Like in the Finder. Wait.
that's good.
It says it's West Africa, as you can see.
Okay, protein. So those were 33 seconds of prep time. So now you have a plus the 10 seconds that I took earlier. 40 seconds. Now you have 1 minute and 10 seconds left of your prep.
We'd like to run out our prep time.
No, wait, I'm sorry. You have 48 seconds left.
Okay, we'd still like to run out our prep time.
Yeah, running now. That's time.
Okay, so yeah. So my time should begin now. The pro team asks you to rule in our favor for the following reasons. Throughout this debate, we have shown that cities can and should be a driving force in tackling inequality. The opponent team can restate their impacts all they want, but this doesn't change the fact that cities are engines of economic growth. They are responsible for producing 80% of the world's GDP and can help pull people out of poverty. Thanks to the greater access to healthcare infrastructure, Flow our hay evidence, which says that malaria transmission decreased by 2.2% and mortality by 6.7% due to cities. And Flow, how life expectancy has increased by 30% since the 1960s due to cities too. The CON team has no mechanism for this. The mechanism is urbanization. Sanitation facilities, clean water, and higher literacy rates in cities have shown effect. There are places of opportunity. We have also shown strong evidence of the link between urbanization and a decrease in transmission rates and mortality, and shown that the only alternative to urban poverty, rural poverty, is vastly worse. You should flow our evidence from rebuttal and summary. We outweigh their environmental impacts on magnitude because we have shown that cities promote conservation efforts, but their only link to environmental impact doesn't specifically say that urbanization in West Africa causes their stated economic impacts. The Sahara Desert is an important factor in air quality, which non-uniques their air pollution impact. Second, I also must mention that urbanization leads to environmental advantages of cities compared to rural areas, such as a decrease in carbon emissions per person. In a rural or suburban area, people normally use an own vehicles to ride to work or anywhere else. Due to congestion, the use of personal cars in the city is much less attractive. More people use public transportation instead, and that means that energy use is reduced. Because urbanization solves both urban and rural poverty, both have. Thank you.
So you have 1 minute and 30 seconds left of your prep time. Do you want to run at all? Or
Yeah.
do you wish? Okay.
Yes, please.
Running? No. That is time.
Okay. So let me just set my
I'm
timer.
sorry, but can I go to the bathroom now? Thank you.
Okay, so like, is everyone ready? Like, except for my partner, of course, but okay. Right. So my time starts now. Judge, we have won this debate because all of our impacts are still standing, which I'll say in a minute. Also, Judge, they don't have strong numbers to tackle our impacts. And I'll also like to add that the opponent's arguments are mostly based on urbanization in general and of hypothetical future events. They were also contradicting our statement that we were shown by researchers, and they were arguing with their personal thoughts, which makes unvalid points. They're also talking about future events, which there's not evidence that that will happen. Now, I would like to go into my impacts. My first impact is slums. As I mentioned before, 71.8% of urban dwellers live in slums in sub-Saharan Africa, which, according to Yale University, creates our people that live in slums are likely to die earlier, experience more hunger, attain less education and diseases, and also have fewer chances of employment, which is showing that urbanization is only controversial and it is not providing the citizens what they want. Also, our second contention is the food insecurity. As I mentioned, 81% of the citizens in Nigeria, the most developed cities in West Africa, suffer from food insecurity. That is 50 million people that suffer from food insecurity, and we shouldn't let that keep on happening. And our final and third contention is air pollution. Let me remind you, judges, that since 1990, air pollution has increased by 36%. And as you know, West Africa has been urbanizing since 1990. This is telling us that urbanization is actually increasing the air pollution. And we shouldn't keep on that happening because there are a lot of side effects due to air pollution. And also, let's not talk about the 60% of unemployment in urban areas. Judges, we're all trying to achieve the same thing, the well-being of the citizens. However, the dream of urbanization will not be possible due to corruption, the diseases, the unhealthy environment in which families in urban areas live. And now, to end this debate, I will make a reference to Criminal Minds, which says, and yet to every bad, there's a worse. In this case, that will be urbanizations. The harms do outweigh the benefits of urbanization, and for the foregoing reasons, judges, we urge a con ballot. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the Criminal Minds reference. You clearly read my paradigm, but great debate, guys. You may virtually shake hands.
Great debate.
Great
Really
debate.
Great debate.
Yeah, great debate.
Ok,
So-
felicidades a ambos equipos, fue excelente debate. A los jueces, nada, les indico que de esta videollamada solamente quedan 5 minutos antes de que se cierre por problema de Zoom, o sea, es algo automático. Entonces, para que vayan tomando la decisión, sometiendo la taproom y vamos a ver si nos da tiempo para dar algún feedback.
Sorry, so do we say who won in this round, or do we put it in tab room, or how do we do it?
Lo somete cada uno lo somete a taproom de manera independiente y cuando estén todos sometidos, entonces Laura va a decir el resultado del debate.
So when you have submitted your ballot, please let me know.
My ballot is submitted.
already.
My ballot is also submitted.
Okay, por alguna razón, sorry, for some reason it's not letting me submit my ballot. But
¿Qué te dice?
me dice de que no agree con lo que usted, o sea, me dice que yo pongo que el equipo
seguro.
o sea, yo puse que el American Icon, ¿verdad? Which they were, y después me dice que no es verdad.
Revisa si los sites también, porque hay veces que te lo pone automático con, se revisa que los
Sí,
dos.
a mí me pasó eso también y yo lo cambié todo de nuevo y lo puse bien y lo chequeé. O sea, un fue First Speaker, American First Second Speaker, un Pro, American Con. Confirma que te así.
Then all other judges have submitted their ballot then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, ya me dejó.
Yeah.
Gracias.
Everyone has submitted their ballot. Yeah.
I think there's 2 ballots missing because it says there's 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
Refresh the page to see if it appears, because I think everyone submitted their ballots already.
Okay.
Okay, so Judge Emilia, have you submitted your ballot? Okay, so we already have the decision. So first I want to say congratulations to both teams for getting this far. And it was actually a very, very split decision. And it's a 3-2 decision for the con team. Congratulations, con team. You won this debate.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
So can you guys give us feedback anyways, if there's time?
Yeah. Reinaldo, ¿cómo está el tiempo del?
Nos queda un minuto. Si quiere, pueden comentar brevemente algunos de los jueces. Nos queda un minuto de reunión.
Está bien. Yo voy a decir algo súper corto.
You're muted.
Sí. For both teams. I really like the cases, but I guess that I voted for pro because at the end, I think the framework boiled down to healthcare. And they were the ones that, yeah, you provided some access to healthcare, but they actually presented quantification on how much urbanization was actively decreasing the rates of infectious diseases, which I think was the way to go. And I also voted on a key issue on air pollution, and that I also gave in my ballot, at least to the pro team, since they were, since they proved, even though I didn't buy this Saharan desert, which I know it's true, it's like mostly, yeah, I'm not gonna count that in my ballot. But what I counted was that the evidence that the con team showed specifically stated that it was not only because of urbanization, and it didn't provide the quantity of what your speech was actually saying, and they brought that up in final focus. So that's why I voted for pro. Also, you lost a lot of time, both teams, in crossfire, arguing for evidence. And I think just make the point, move on, and when it's time, you ask for the evidence with your prep time, and it's easier and it's more organic for the round. Yeah, congrats.
Thank you. Great debate, by the way.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Great debate.
Ok, felicidades a ambos equipos y muchas gracias a los jueces por el excelente trabajo que han hecho. Que pasen feliz fin de semana. Nos vemos en el próximo torneo.
Buen
Bye.
provecho, Daniel.
Bye bye.
Bye.